Top 10, top 10. Let's go Big 10. No, top 10. Chris, what am I talking about here?
Yeah, so we'll flip the script, Jeff. On this week on the Ohio Tech Report, normally you're playing host, but I'll start because you have this week's number one story. A big story out of CNBC about looking at national, states, and businesses' best places to do it. So what do we got, and where did Ohio land?
Yeah, America's top states for business 2021. Ohio, a very strong showing, and it's a consistent showing, but they ranked number 10 in top states for doing business in 2021, according to CNBC's annual survey of top states for business. It's always exciting to see Ohio claim this place, claim this position. But what's interesting is looking at how they broke down the rankings. Ohio fared very well, number 2 in cost of doing business, and number 7 in access to capital. So relatively speaking, that's very strong performance in key areas, cost of doing business and access to capital, which is a great formula for growth for any company looking to set up shop here in Ohio.
Yeah, and I'll give 2 other areas that I thought were interesting. One is a decade ago, Ohio on the same list was actually number 23. So we're absolutely trending in the right direction.
Wow.
And then the second is if you look at the other top 10 and states around us, because I think that's obviously an important metric of, who are these other states? And I think Virginia was number 1, places like Tennessee and Texas. They're always on these lists. But for Ohio, we, again, are leading in this kind of Great Lakes kind of Midwest region, which is fantastic because, a lot of times those are our competitors. Other states that are around us, that are like us, are part of the country. And so Ohio is kind of out kicking our coverage in that regard.
Absolutely. Punching above our weight, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's good. So what do you have on tap for number 2 today?
Yeah, number 2, and this is kind of, keeping that business climate going. But another fundraising round, which I think ties into a kind of a bigger theme we've talked about. And so this is Axuall, which is a Cleveland-based digital professional identity network. So they're using like blockchain technology in order to help healthcare providers authenticate credentials and kind of doing it real time. So connecting all the stuff that's important in the healthcare world with making sure that it's legit. They raised a $10.4 million Series A round. Among the investors are University Hospitals Ventures, which is the UH Hospital Systems venture arm up in Cleveland. So it's some Cleveland investors helping a Cleveland company. But as we've been talking about, Jeff, this kind of notion of Ohio, especially Cleveland, becoming this health tech hub, it's success stories like this that show, hey, you can come to Cleveland, you can build in Cleveland. Charlie Lohi and their whole team have been at this for a while. But we're seeing some of these health tech success stories up in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's very strong. I mean, the health tech and the CUH is leading the charge on this one, and their neighbor close by is the Cleveland Clinic, another significant global player on the stage. Great progress for Ohio. So what do you have for the third story today?
Well, just like 1 and 2, capital, capital, capital. That's what any of this is all about. It takes money to build technology, to grow technology, to build businesses, to operate, to expand, to be competitive. So this one is reporting out of Columbus Business First about Drive Capital, which is the biggest venture capital firm in Ohio, really maybe even the Midwest, certainly one of them. But their portfolio companies have raised $782 million just this year. So we're in July, halfway through the year. And so this is something really, really big numbers for Ohio, big numbers for tech companies backed by Ohio's biggest tech investor.
Well, that's great. And do you see, relatively speaking, do you know the growth trend behind that number? I assume that's a significant jump year over year.
I don't know the numbers, and most of that money is kind of add-on with out-of-state investors. So, these are companies that are raising from places in Silicon Valley. But, they have this thesis of that you can build where you're strongest. And so it could be Columbus, it could be Cleveland, it could be an Ann Arbor or Nashville, other places. But they've been this incredible resource of building, which is so incredibly important, this pipeline between those traditional tech hubs on the coast, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and connecting them with companies here in the middle of America. And so It's kind of this thesis that they've had about, I guess 10 years or so at this point. But the numbers are starting to back up. And I don't have it in front of me, but the like venture capital investments overall, just, globally or US nationwide, have just been astronomical, which, we're talking about these 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million rounds that are happening here.
So the capital flowing in, access to capital is one of the things that, put us on top as far as the top states for doing business. But what's very real, something we've talked about before, I personally have 2 neighbors that have moved here from California. So there are people flowing into the state. It's still happening, the remote workforce and people taking advantage of living here and perhaps working and securing employment outside of the state, but it still brings that personal tax income and their personal expenditures here in the state. So all good news, all good movement, all further reason to continue our strong investment in the technology and innovation sector. And I know specifically we're doing something on September 24th, which everyone will want to know about, right?
Ohio Tech Day. You can go to www.ohiotechday.org. It's a statewide celebration of the people and the companies and the ideas that make tech in Ohio possible. And we're also using the day in order to help inspire our next generation. So this year, especially high school students, and showing them that you don't have to leave the state. You don't have to go to California in order to have a great tech career. So ohiotechday.org, check it out, see how your company, your school, your organization can get involved.
Right. Everyone's invited to get involved, and we are seeking sponsors to underwrite the program to make it possible, to provide the resources and support to make this all possible. So comment or DM us if you want to do that.
Shoot us a DM.
Yeah, right. Okay. Keep it secret. All right. Thanks, Chris. Another great week here on the scene here in Ohio.